All right, guys, today we are joined by Devyn Simone. She's a matchmaker who has made a name for herself in Miami. She'll also be starring on the new reality series on Roku, Match Me in Miami. It's being described as Selling Sunset meets Millionaire Matchmaker. If any of you guys are fans of those shows, I was a huge fan of both. Devyn has been on plenty of talk shows, including The Today Show, Good Morning America, and The Doctors. Devyn, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So our listeners know that we're in Palm Beach all the time. I might have to come down to Miami to get some of your expert advice.
I think you have to go on the show.
Yeah, season 2. I think
exactly
Kim. I
right.
think
She might
yes.
be there.
Maybe
Yes.
we're gonna get into me a little bit later because I'm gonna ask you questions. But let's start with your age, relationship status, and where you're currently living.
Ooh, age. I tend to forget that. I am. How old am I? I'm 35. I am engaged. I get married in like 2.5 weeks.
So soon.
Nice.
So soon.
June bride. June bride.
Thank you. Yes, a June bride. And I am currently back in New York because I was splitting my time between Miami and New York.
Very nice. Kind of on the same schedule as us.
Yeah.
Then.
Yes.
So you are obviously pretty done with the wedding planning. What else still needs to be done in the next 2 weeks?
Oh my God, Kim, you're never done. This is what I'm learning. I
Don't
did not
be a
know.
bridezilla. Come on now.
No, my wedding planner and my vendor say I'm the most chill bride, and I am. But because it was all in my head, there are things that you can't do, only you can see, right? So only you can kind of like make happen. And then also surprises pop up. So I thought everything would be planned. And then, you get a call or an email that like, oh, this is happening here and you got to move this. And so I'm trying to just decompress and
sort of start chilling out now because it gets very stressful right around this time.
Were you
getting married in New York or in Miami or a destination?
So neither. Well, if you can call Kansas City a destination, I don't know if you can, but
I don't know. But for people who live in Kansas City, it's a nice spot.
It is a nice spot. So that's where I'm from originally. And my fiance's from Sydney, Australia. And so his family and some friends are flying in. So I figure if they're going to come all this way, many of them have been to New York, why not make it a real like Midwestern?
Oh, sounds fun.
It'd be part black tie affair for one of the days. And then the other day we're doing like a high-end barbecue so they can really experience, Midwestern America.
Great.
So fun. Where did you meet your fiance?
Fun fact. So we actually met on a dating app. Yes, those do work. We met on a dating app some years ago, went on a lovely date. I didn't like his pants. That's a whole story. And so we didn't go out on a second date. Were you guys talking about something similar?
Well, she just always says to me, like, you can't say you don't like the way he parts his hair and never see him again.
Right.
That's true. Grandma Gail is right. And so I actually wanted to hang out as friends, but he thought I was blowing him off. So that fizzled. And then a few years later, we reconnected online by accident. I didn't even remember who he was at the time. And we've been together ever since. And I'm so fortunate. He's amazing.
So now how are you going to do this? Are you going to live part-time in Australia and part-time in Miami and New York? Or is he going to move towards us? Is he coming?
Well, you'll see that play out on the show because that is a very real question, Grandma Gail, and something that we have to take into consideration. Yeah, definitely.
So I want to talk about like Matchmaker versus using a dating app, because obviously you found success yourself on an app, but why use a matchmaker?
Oh, matchmakers are so great. Think about it. When you want your favorite food, say you want some like really kind of particular meal that's done just perfectly. Sure, you could take the hours and hours and hours to try and do it yourself, especially if you're cooking for one. We know how wasteful that can be, and it can be annoying and time consuming. Or you can go to your favorite restaurant and the chef there will make it for you. If you don't want to drive, you can call the Uber and they will take you where you need to go. And that way you can relax and have fun. Hiring a matchmaker is similar in the way that we're experts in this. Not only do we know a lot of people, we know a lot of the science behind how people interact and how dating has evolved, because it's changed in the last 10 years, 5 years, even 3 years. Right. And so having a matchmaker on your side means you can just, whether you're a guy, a girl, whatever, you can just show up, have fun, be your best self, and see if you connect with that other person without having to worry about all of the other stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's funny that you say also, because when I think of matchmaker, I think of like Fiddler on the Roof hundreds of years ago.
Well, they've been matchmaking for thousands of years.
But how has the art changed?
Well, we wear different things now.
Yes.
We're a little, probably racier now, which you'll see, I think, on the show, but it's adapted because it's had to. So, a good matchmaker will be looking out anywhere and everywhere for great potential singles. Like I've met singles, out and about at events. I've met singles on a plane. I've met cute singles on apps too, that we put in the database. So, we've had to adapt in that way. And we also, I think, personalize it more. Years ago, it seems like there was much more of a thing, even with shows like Millionaire Matchmaker, which were great at the time, a lot of fun, but there were these like general rules that everyone had to abide by. And I think what a good matchmaker recognizes, and what we just in general are recognizing, is that everyone's relationship is their own special recipe, and what they're looking for is that. So your matchmaker should be able to really customize kind of not only the person they're matching you with, but the process to suit you, because what you want in a partner is different than what your friends want, and different than what your parents might want, or, what Grandma Gail might want. So it has to be personalized and not just like a one size fits all approach.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Which I always felt the dating apps were.
In what way?
Well, they're just swiping. They really don't know you personally. You're putting in a database.
Or it's a checklist. Yeah.
They don't know you personally. That's true. But they give you a lot of opportunity though, which is cool about the dating apps, because so many people use them. And I do think some of the dating apps are getting better at sort of like honing in on that. Like even Tinder now has a feature called a relationship feature, where you can say, or relationship goals, where you can say what you're looking for. Like if you just want something short term, if you want long term, if you don't know. So they're trying to adapt a little bit and be more curated.
Yeah, Hinge has that as well. And I'm always like, oh, you're looking for something short term. Like who actually puts that on a dating app? But I guess at least they're being honest.
Yeah, good for being, and because some people really are. Maybe I have a friend who, she's actually my maid of honor, who is going on a date this week, and she just got out of a relationship. And so I dare to say she's not ready for something more serious yet, but wants, to get out there and try it. And so, sometimes people are looking for,
wants to have a date to go out with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you're the head matchmaker of Miami Matchmaking Agency. What made you want to get into matchmaking to start with?
Well, how did you start?
Yeah. So that's a really good question, guys. So my parents divorced when I was 2, and then they remarried other people closer to their own ages, because they were 15 years apart. And as a kid, I wanted to know what seemingly made these new relationships work, right? Like why did mom and dad not work, but why are mom and stepdad, or dad and stepmom? So I would read relationship books and self-help books. It was such a nerdy thing to do as a kid. And that just evolved. I also was a curious dater. So I would date a lot, all different types of people, because I was curious at how people, it was sort of like research for me in a way. It was very fascinating. And so that just evolved into a dating blog, and then a dating show, actually, with my friend Clinton Kelly. He used to do a show called The Chew and What Not to Wear. He's the wedding officiant for our wedding. He's going to marry us. But Clinton and I came up with a show to help people's dating profiles and help make them over. And then once I was advising people on their dating profiles and giving them dating tips, I actually had some clients request that I just match them. And so it just kind of evolved from there. And now I've been matchmaking for, in the dating space professionally for almost 12 years, and in the matchmaking space for about 7.
Wow. So what was the first match you ever made?
Oh my gosh. Let me think. Okay. It's been so many.
Oh,
first match I ever made was in New York, and oh gosh.
And are they still together?
They are still together.
Okay.
They are still together. As a matchmaker, you see a lot of things. You see a lot of couples that work, you see some that don't, you just hear really fascinating and interesting stories, which I'm excited about. This project and people getting to see a glimmer of that and a glimpse of that. But
Well, I was watching the show in the beginning. It does look very, very interesting.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about Match Me in Miami. What motivated you to televise the whole experience?
I think it's exciting. It's fun to watch. That's for sure.
You know, I've been asked for a very long time and contacted often about sort of documenting what matchmaking is like, right? And what that life looks like. And I will say it's a challenge because in general, matchmakers, and so for anyone listening that wants to work with a matchmaker, in general, it is a very private process. So like we, you know, privacy is paramount for the clients that I work with, and we don't share any information that they don't want out there. It's not a public thing. So doing the show is challenging because you need clients that are open to sharing that part of their lives and being vulnerable. And so I'm so grateful that they were. But yeah, it's just, you know, people want to know and people are interested. And, you know, there's some other great matchmaking shows out there too for people that love to watch. And I think this one's fun because it's kind of a fresh, young take on matchmaking. I think sometimes people think, oh, a matchmaker, I have to be, you know, X age before I can look into a matchmaker. And it's like, no. We work with clients in their 20s. We work with clients in their 30s, you know, regardless of your sexual orientation, background, ethnicity. Like I've seen it work for pretty much every demographic in some capacity. And we work with every demographic in some capacity. So yeah, I'm glad that we could share that.
I want you to debunk something for Grandma Gail for a second because, and maybe for me too, I feel like a lot of the time we're like, okay, if you're using a matchmaker, you're in your late 40s and you couldn't really find somebody. I know that you think that.
Not find someone. You've either had difficult relationships and you're frustrated in finding it for yourself. So now you're giving
does it come out of Does it come out of a place of I can't do this myself anymore? Like I need help, or could anybody, like, is it just the fast track?
It's I'd say it's more of the latter. Again, it's kind of like the Uber analogy that I gave, or like the dry cleaning. Like just because I send my clothes to dry cleaning doesn't mean I can't do laundry myself, but it might mean I don't have the time. It might mean I don't have the patience. It might mean I respect the fact that they just do it, you know, better. I think it was USA Today a couple of years ago released a study that showed that people who tend to outsource things that they don't particularly enjoy have a better quality of life. And so I think that's very much true with matchmaking. Like some people, yes, come to us because they feel like, okay, I'm up against a wall. I've spent a lot of time either dating the wrong people or focused on my career. And now I want something serious and I kind of want to make up for lost time. But some people come to us because they go, look, I spend my time doing things, you know, I enjoy, or I'm busy with work. And I know I want my love life to move forward, but I also know that I don't want to spend time going to bars, swiping on the apps for hours, going on disappointing dates. So I think it's really people that just have a high standard for themselves and recognize that like everybody has blind spots. Even doctors have doctors. And so sometimes it's literally just that additional perspective that's like 2% different than yours that can make you see the world so differently and open up a world of possibilities.
Totally. I think
are there ever people that you say to them after, I don't know if there's a time span that you give each of your clients, do you ever say, listen, you're not going to make a relationship. This is not working. I can't find you somebody. Has that ever happened?
Oh my gosh, Grandma Gail, they're 100%. So I don't take everyone on as a client. We don't in general. That's the policy. We sort of do a pre-screen. So anyone can be in like our free database, but not anyone can be a paying client. And that's not to be sort of exclusionary. It's because, yeah, we want to be realistic. So if you tell me that, you know, I don't know, have a degree, which is great, and you want someone who has 5 master's degrees, and that's a must-have for you. We can't guarantee all your matches are going to have that, or that they'll even be good for you. You know, if you're 4'11" and you only want to date people who are 6'11" and above, we're not, you know, and it doesn't mean you can't have these preferences and want certain things, but people who cling to, in my opinion, the wrong thing are usually a red flag. That they're not going to be open to love. So we could match you with someone who fits all the boxes and you still wouldn't genuinely connect with them. Or if... And
you can tell that after your interview, or you have to take, you really can. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
What do you think?
We side eye and analyze for sure.
Okay.
What do you think is too picky? Like, I think Grandma Gail sometimes thinks I'm a little picky, but
a lot picky.
Ooh, okay. Kim, what are your top 3 must-haves, Kim?
Okay. I would say I guess Jewish,
Okay.
has some sort of career,
Okay.
and
Be tall.
no, that I don't think that's, well, that's a preference for me. I don't think it's a
Okay.
must have,
Okay.
but maybe someone who like you can have a deep conversation with and you like that chemistry X factor.
Okay, so I'll tell you right there. So chemistry is not really a quantifiable quantity or quality in the sense that someone doesn't have chemistry. That's what you guys create together, right? When you put all the ingredients. So if you're
Grandma's right.
oh, you
Good.
agree, Grandma Gail? I love it.
Absolutely. You have
I
to
love
work
it.
at chemistry.
Okay, can I change it
Yes.
to brunette then?
Okay.
See, she's back. I keep telling her she's got the wrong ideas.
Yes, you can change it to brunette, but I will also say this, Kim. No one has ever gotten divorced over the color of their hair. Okay.
Yes, they lose it anyway.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the color of their hair is not going to be necessarily an indicator. Like, you're attracted to what you're attracted to. I get it.
Yeah.
But when really evaluating the person and whether or not they have the qualities for you guys to build the life that you want and that you're looking for, just be mindful that in the grand scheme of the big thing, a lot of the little things don't matter. Right. And to be clear on what it is that you're looking for, because it could be right in front of you and you may not even recognize it at the time.
Why would you not recognize something like that though?
Because you might be so focused on the color of his hair that you don't realize he's a jerk. Or you might be so focused on and this isn't you, Kim, but like where he went to school, or so focused on the car he drives that you don't realize that when you have a vulnerable moment, he's the first one there and would be happy to support you and help you. Or when you want to do things in your career and growing, the amazing podcast you built or whatever, that he'd be the guy cheering you on, not the one trying to keep you small. Like, those are the things that are indicators of being able to grow together, not whether or not you like his pants. I understand what I shared earlier. I totally get that. Or whether or not, even that initial spark. The other thing I'm going to say about chemistry really quickly, and then I will get off my soapbox, is sometimes, because chemistry is this feeling, and yes, it's important overall, it is. But we have to be very careful about the power that we give it, because, and studies have sort of leaned into this as well, chemistry sometimes can literally be our subconscious recognizing what is familiar. But what is familiar, much like comfort food, is not always what is healthiest for us. So in a vulnerable moment, I want to go eat ice cream and fried foods because I'm from Kansas City, because that's what I know and what I love, but that's not healthy for me, right, in the long term for any goals I want to achieve. And so when you meet that person and you're like, oh my gosh, we had a spark, I know it, and I'm going to marry this person, and you've only talked to them for 2.5 seconds, take a step back there too, because that's not necessarily a good indicator, especially if you're still, your heart and your head are in two different places and you're really just going for that emotionally unavailable guy or whatever it is that you've been used to.
So well put.
Oh, I love it.
So the advice is not completely ignore that feeling, but don't weigh it as heavily as the other things.
You build up. You have to build up a relationship.
Right.
This is our conversation all the time. It's not going to happen by looking across the room. You really have to sit down and think about what you really want. And if that person has the same goals and same aspirations, that's where you build the relationship. And
yes,
then
ma'am.
The spark happens. I mean, it doesn't happen instantaneously like a fire.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. And if it does, then be careful. You got to
exactly. Sparks lead to fire damage.
You get
100%. It could be the fire damage.
That's why I'm married 60 years.
Yes, Grandma Gail. Yes, and yes. You have, Kim, all this wisdom sitting beside you.
I want to hear it from you too.
I know, Devyn, you got to hear it. Tell her.
But everything Grandma Gail said is 100% true. And also maybe evaluate chemistry, not on so much that butterflies nervousness feeling, because again, that could be your subconscious sort of ringing alarm bells, but you're romanticizing it. But also look at chemistry as, can I fully be myself with this person and feel great about it? Like feel good about it. Can I share all the stories? Can I laugh and do my, ugly cry, ugly laugh, whatever it is, eat my favorite foods, not worry that it's spilling down my chin? Like, I mean, you want to bring your best self on a date, but do you feel like you can just be at ease with this person and you guys are still growing together? That is healthy chemistry.
Right.
Yes. Okay. A few more questions about Match Me in Miami. What can people expect for the season?
More drama than I typically like in my day-to-day life.
Okay.
Was there drama in the workplace? Because I just watched little clips and it looked like a lot of dynamics going on even in the workplace.
Yes, Grandma Gail, you're very, working with clients can be a little dramatic anyway, because it's so many different personality types, right? And emotions are high because it's a very like emotionally charged thing. But then, with this agency, Laura and I, who is my partner in this, we really wanted a diverse group. And so they each have their own special skill set, but they also each come with very big personalities. And some of them have never worked in a corporate environment before. And, when you think matchmaking, you don't necessarily think corporate, but it is. We have an office, we have policies, we have rules and all of that. And so it was a learning curve for some, in how to really work together as a team.
When it comes to your actual approaches as matchmakers, do you ever kind of disagree on certain things, or does it not matter because your clients are different?
Oh my God, we disagree all the time, and our clients are different. I think you'll see a lot of that here. It goes back to, again, that like not always getting along or seeing eye to eye, but being able to respect the other's approach. Also, I've been doing it for the longest sort of the team, and then followed by Laura, and even she and I have different approaches to things. So it's sort of, hashing out which is the best method in that instance for that particular client, because it does change.
And do you talk to, now that you've wrapped filming, the other women on the matchmaking team, like all of them, or
have any of them gone off the team? That will be interesting to see.
I cannot give any spoilers. Okay. I will say one was at my bachelorette party a few weeks ago. 2 will be at my wedding.
Okay.
And then I spoke to another literally just last week. So, but I can't give any spoilers, but it, we talk about, they say in the trailer that it is like a family, and it's true. It really did become like a family.
Sounds great.
So
can't wait to see the whole thing.
We have this debate a lot about reality TV in general, about how much of it is real, how much of it is produced. Can you share a little bit your experience filming?
Yes, it's so funny because I just had this conversation with my doorman. Shout out to Michael because he asked these questions. So I've done reality TV before. So I actually started on Real World many years ago, Real World Brooklyn, and then did a show called The Challenge on MTV as well. And so, so of the cast, even though my real life job is that of a matchmaker, like I really am that, and that's what I do, I was the only one that had experience of what it's like sort of having your life filmed or documented on camera before. And so, yeah, I would say this. Sometimes the scenarios are sort of crafted, meaning in real life, if you don't get along with someone, you kind of just don't talk to them again, or you kind of just try not to see them again. And if you're in an office setting, you just really limit how much you talk to them as much as possible within reason. Whereas here, if you don't like someone, because we're doing this as a team, you're going to have to see them at X event or X dinner. And then, if you try to avoid the topic, then yes, someone from behind the camera might go, hey, don't you guys want to talk about the elephant in the room, like the thing that's making you mad? And so, so then you get, of course, the emotions and the feelings and the commentary. So all of the emotions you see are very real. The dynamics, the friendships, the feuds, all real. Many of them still carrying on now. But, and like I said, 2 are coming to my wedding. They've become like family, very much so. So all of that is real, but sometimes the scenarios or things, or maybe like, say if a phone call happens, if it's not filmed, then you might have to redo the phone call, or at least tell what did happen on said phone call. So that way the viewers, it makes sense to you guys. And there aren't like holes. But anytime you see emotions, yes, that is very much real.
That makes sense. The thing is, though, let's say you have to redo a phone call. Like, what if you're just not good at acting or pretend? I guess you wouldn't be cast on a show.
Well, so I will tell you this. My fiance is he's a behind the camera guy. Like in general, he works in advertising. He comes up with the ideas, but he's not really but he was super supportive. So you will see him on the show, which is like a big amazing that he did that. But yeah, he's not. So there were moments where we had calls and conversations that were very real conversations we had. But I think probably the first time we did it, we did have to do a couple takes because it's sort of like,
Nerve-wracking.
Okay, now
Right.
say this again.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a
and-
personal thing, so you don't want to have that on the show.
yeah, and he's new to, this
Right.
is all new for him. So he's been around cameras and stuff, but on like television, like commercial shoots and with real actors and all of that stuff, not reality TV. So it's a little bit of a learning curve there, but the whole team was amazing. Like, and shout out to even our producers who also became like family. It was just really fortunate to have worked with some really amazing people.
That's great. That's a great experience.
You do a ton of other TV experience as well, Amazon Live. I saw you went on the Today Show somewhat recently to talk about a trend that I want to bring up also, because Grandma Gail says this a lot. Women are actually dating shorter and bald men.
Like shorter. I always told you good things come in small packages.
Oh, I love it, Grandma Gail. I love it. How tall are you, Grandma Gail?
5'2".
5'2". I
used to, but my husband always said some of my old dates were midgets. I said, maybe they were. I don't know.
I don't know if we can use that word anymore.
Well, they were short people.
That's hilarious. Yeah, good things do come in small packages, and studies are showing that more and more women are open to bald men and shorter men. And I think it does come back to, as a society, well, there's a lot of craziness going on in society. I do think that there's a greater emphasis on in certain camps on like emotional intelligence and wanting that in a partner. That's another trend that we're seeing that's like becoming a top must-have, particularly for women and what they want in their partner. Like, him just earning good money is not enough anymore. Like, we want more. And so you realize with that like hair, while lovely, isn't necessarily an indicator that he's emotionally intelligent. Being tall isn't necessarily an indicator that he's, going to be emotionally intelligent. So maybe be open to some of the shorter guys. Also, some of your favorite actors are not that tall. So
yeah, good points.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask a dating question, because a lot of the time people are kind of asking us, what are some other good date ideas other than drinks or dinner? I think we're both fans of like an activity date.
Yes,
love
them.
What are some ideas you can give our audience?
Yeah, I love a good activity date. So a couple, like, ones to keep in mind, especially since the weather's nice. Although in Miami, the weather's pretty much always nice. But you could do sort of like a food tour, which I love. And so for first date, it means have drinks at one spot and then have reservations lined up. And this is also good for the non-committal date planner. This is what I mean. So like, sometimes you'll hear from like guys that like, oh, I don't want to fully commit to dinner yet because I don't know, it might be awkward, might be weird, or I don't want to feel too forward. So what you do is you take her to a beautiful like cocktail bar, have a drink there, and then go for dinner, like a short, like keep it within a 5-minute distance, ideally walking distance, but if it's a short drive, that's fine, at a lovely restaurant. And then you can do dessert at another restaurant. And so what you're doing is you're creating an experience together. So when you get to the next place, you can kind of talk about, oh, I really like that bar. Oh, this is interesting. Anytime you're creating experiences, that's great. That already bonds you right there. Like, that's already helping lay a foundation for chemistry, because chemistry is just connection. And what better way to connect than over things you are indeed doing? You could do like a little photo competition photo tour. So just take your smartphones, iPhones, pick a couple of popular spots in the city and go and take your best angled photos. And you can, even if you're terrible at it, it doesn't matter. Like, you can just kind of have fun and then maybe have some friends or even some strangers vote at the end, like put the photos side by side and see who took the best photos. And that's a cost-effective date, because you could be really cheap and do that when it doesn't really cost much.
Yes, very true. Yeah. And you would recommend that even for a first date?
For first date, I think that's great. Like, I don't think you should be shy on the first date. And what I mean by that is, go all in. If you made the time to go meet this person, go meet them. Don't schedule something closely after. Now, you can have a fake excuse in your back pocket in case the date goes bad. And then you can be like, oh, I gotta go meet my sister. If you don't have a sister, whatever, my sister's dog. But leave space for it to just surprise you. My first date with my fiance, back when he was wearing those pants, which he still wears now, they're joggers, it's fine. But we met for drinks, but we ended up having dinner, and that date was a few hours long and lovely. And then when we had our second first date, it was like 10 hours long. And we just talked the whole time. Like, the restaurant had long since closed because it was also during the pandemic. And so we just went back and just talked the whole time, and it was lovely. And so go all in. Like this whole idea of a coffee date, nothing makes me more mad than a coffee date. Don't do that.
That's so interesting. I haven't heard that advice because I actually give the advice to always schedule something right after a date because I know you would disagree with me. You're like, why are you making dinner with your friends? What if you like him? Exactly. And I always say, well, if I like him, then we'll go out again, because I don't like the idea of I made a date with this person on Tuesday and like, let's say it goes bad, then I wasted my entire Tuesday night.
But that's why you have the excuse in your back pocket. Like by not scheduling something, that doesn't mean you're committed. You don't owe that person anything except for being, respectful. But you could easily be like, oh, I'm pretty sure back when I was single, I once told somebody I had a flight to catch later that night. I didn't. It was like 2 days later, but they didn't know. And so we had one drink and then I was like, gotta go. But give yourself room, because this idea that you're going to know instantaneously, it is not that. You've got to kind of wear it in a little bit, see how it feels, take it all in, and give yourself space for that to happen.
That's fair. Okay, I want to end the episode with a game we play with all of our guests. It's called Grandma Gail's Old-Fashioned Dating Quiz.
Gonna be.
Actually, I don't know. So basically we go through some hypotheticals and deem whether you're more of an old-fashioned dater like a Grandma Gail or modern like me.
Ooh, I like it. Okay,
so would you rather receive a call or a text from the person you're in a relationship with if it's just to say hi?
A call.
Okay. Would you sleep with someone on the first date?
No.
Dating apps or setups?
Dating apps.
Well, that's me.
I got it.
Okay. Move in together before getting engaged, or wait until you're engaged or married to move in?
So I've done both. I advise people don't move in until you have a ring and a date, or at least a full plan of where you guys are going. As someone who has done both, and let me just tell you, like, ideally, yeah.
It's interesting. Okay. And then who should pay for the date? Should it be one person in a relationship, or should you split, alternate?
So if you're talking relationship, then I think that you guys can discuss what works best for you. But I think, it's sort of like alternate. So my fiance probably pays most of the time, but we often not fight for real, but we'll kind of go to grab the check first. And he always says, babe, it's our money anyway, which is sort of true. So yeah, I think both people should just want to provide for each other. So it just comes down to when you want to do nice for the other, you kind of don't even like keep track of that. But when you're dating in the beginning, oh honey, I'm allergic to the bill. Like I'm not touching on the first date. Nope, I'm not touching. I'm not going to pretend.
Do you even offer?
No, I'm not going to pretend. If you invited me on a date, absolutely not. And if you invited me on a drinks date, even if I'm not really hungry, I might drop the hint that I'm hungry just to see if you're willing to also feed me, because that tells me how committed you are to getting to know me. Now, I will thank you profusely when you pay for it and be gracious, because I appreciate it. But no, I'm not pretending to get the check. I will just look at it and sneeze and wait until you pick it up and you sign the bill.
Love it.
All right, Devyn, you're in my camp. You only got one thing, Kimmy, on your side.
You're an old-fashioned dater.
And she's right. That's why she's getting married.
I love it. I think both ways are good. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. You guys are wonderful. Oh, I wish I could be sitting there with you. You guys are so much
thank
fun.
you. So yes, the series premieres on June 9th on Roku.
Yes.
I think it'll be tomorrow, the day that this episode is airing. So tune in, guys, and watch Devyn. And Devyn, how can they follow you on social media and everywhere else?
So you can visit my website, devynsimone.com. That's Devyn with a Y, Simone with an I.com. You can also click on the matchmaking tab if you want to be like in the free database, or you're interested in potentially hiring a matchmaker. And then my socials are at the bottom of that, but you could also go to Instagram is where I'm most active. That's at Devyn Simone. That's Devyn with a Y, Simone with an I. TikTok at Devyn Simone. Twitter, same thing. And then on Amazon, I do the Amazon Lives, and I'll give you a shout out. So you can just type in Devyn Simone Amazon in Google, and it'll come up, but it's called Devyn Simone's Gift Closet. Just click the follow button there.